everyone. Thanks for joining us this evening. And my name is Joanne Namias, and I am a SPAN Parent Advocacy Network staff trainer. And I am happy to introduce Adam Crass, who will be presenting AI as assistive technology for young adults with disabilities.
Okay, thanks very much, Joanne.
Thank you.
Um, and Joanne, by the way, if there's questions that are in the chat that you can answer, just go ahead and do that. But if you are not able to, feel free to just interrupt and let me know what the question is.
Okay, sounds good.
Thanks. So welcome everybody. My name's Adam Crass. I'm an assistive technology consultant, and today we're going to be talking about artificial intelligence as assistive technology for young adults with disabilities. It's a pleasure to be here, and thank you for being here too. This presentation is funded by the Assistive Technology Advocacy Center of Disability Rights New Jersey, and here's their website. In the chat is the link to the shared Google Drive folder that has today's Google Slides presentation as well as an additional handout. So it's all there. You get the copy of the full slides with all the links for future reference. And SPAN has a YouTube channel for recorded assistive technology webinars. Here is the link for it. I guess I'll put that in the chat as well. And here is the link to SPAN YouTube AT channel. Okay. And that'll be ready at some point in the next couple days or a week or so. A little bit about myself. I'm an AT consultant. I do work with children and adults with disabilities. I do evaluations, trainings, ongoing support, professional development, modifications, and customization. I work in person in northern and central New Jersey and parts of New York City and anywhere else remotely. And here's my website address. I offer free 30-minute AT consultations for anyone with disability or a family member or teacher or professional. These are all done remotely by phone, Zoom, Meet, FaceTime, etc. And they need to be scheduled. So send me an email or give me a call if you'd like to schedule a 30-minute consultation. These are especially good for, I think, families who are just getting started with assistive technology and they might not know where to go or what direction to go in. So please get in touch with me if you'd like to do that. A couple of good resources that the Assistive Technology Advocacy Center funds. One is the AT Lending Center for New Jersey. This is housed at Advancing Opportunities. And if you go to their website, you could see the hundreds of pieces of assistive technology that they have in their library. You can borrow it uh, online or by calling them. And they ship it to you free. You can use it for a month and try it out. And they give you a return shipping label. So the entire process is free. Anyone can borrow equipment from the library, and it's a great way to find out if something's going to work or not. Definitely trying it out is one of the bedrock principles of assistive technologies because you never know until you actually get your hands on it and see what it's like. Now, ATAC also offers a free subscription to the ATIA Learning Portal for anyone that lives or works in New Jersey. And if you go to this link and sign and fill out a very, very brief form, you'll get a code which will enable you to get free access to ATIA's learning portal. They've got thousands and thousands, maybe tens of thousands of recorded webinars on every topic within assistive technology. It's an excellent resource. You can get CEC credits, um, and they have some of the best people around giving presentations. So I encourage you to look into this if you need CEC hours, like I do. Uh, in On October 7th, they're going to have the AT Summit for Education, which is New Jersey's annual assistive technology conference. This year, it's moving to the College of New Jersey, which is in Ewing. In years past, it's been at Mercer Community College, but they're moving. But it's still going to be a great conference, full day conference. It'll be upwards of 50 presentations. There's usually between 150 and 200 people there. So it's a great networking opportunity as well as a way to learn more about assistive technology. Now, I'd like to find out a little bit about you. So if you could take a minute to scan this QR code and fill out page 3 of the online Menti poll. It'll just give me a little bit of an idea of who all of you are. So again, please scan the QR code and go to page 3 and just tell me a little bit about who you are. And I'm going to take a look at that poll and see. And again, here's the QR code. I'll leave that up again. And this is page 3, so it just tells me a little bit about who you are. Here's the QR code again, if you need it. All right. And you can continue doing that during the presentation. Oh, there we go. Okay, we've got a family member. And we'll come back to this a little bit later. But if you could fill it out, that really helps. If you've ever been on a grant, you got to keep track of what you do and who you did it with. Some of today's slides were created by Brian Friedlander. Brian is another assistive technology consultant that we collaborate often. And Brian, I stole some of your slides today. Hope you don't mind. Okay, so what are we going to do today? We're going to talk about ways AI can help or not. We're going to talk about this idea of how much AI is enough or too much. We're going to look at teaching exceptional children article tips for AI prompts. We're going to talk about a new research project out of MIT about using AI to write essays. We're going to talk about Bruce Alter, who's a really smart guy, works in the assistive technology field, and his presentation on AI, using AI in schools. And then we're going to talk about individual AI tools for high school, college work, and community integration. So I'm going to put today I'm going to be putting a big emphasis on kind of big picture thinking about using AI as assistive technology. Um, there's a lot of new stuff coming on the market all the time, but assistive technology has been around for a while, so we're trying to apply the principles of assistive technology to using artificial intelligence, and sometimes it's a little challenging because AI is a challenging subject. We're all grappling with it, trying to figure out what's the best way to use it. and also figuring out ways not to use it. And let's face it, AI is here to stay. I know some people wish that it wasn't, but it's not going away. Right now, we're just in kind of this explosive, a time of explosive growth in AI tools. Um, and we'll talk about that a little bit later. But it's important to learn how to use it to help, not hinder a person with disability. It's important to remember that AI is not 100% infallible. They make errors, it makes things up, it creates references and resources that are not real. So it's important to check for errors. Um, I've also been told that, when you're using it to do math, AI can mess up. So it's important to check and make sure that it got it correct. Just because it seems like it's plausible doesn't mean it's true, especially with AI. Um, it's also important to think about, the security of your personal information. And there are some folks out there, including Bruce Walter, who think that some of the web-based AI tools may not be 100% secure. In other words, they could get hacked. If you have personal information in there, it could be compromised. So, as a general rule, it's a good idea not to use personal information when you're using something like ChatGPT or other web-based AI tools. Things like your birth date, your home address, your phone number, your social security number, things like that. You should never type into a an AI tool because they say they delete that information, but it's not as secure as it should be. Um, Artificial intelligence can help overcome barriers, but it's important that the technology is not doing the task for the individual. One thing that hasn't changed is how humans learn. That's been evolving for millions or hundreds of thousands of years. Um, Learning requires effort and work. It's still that part it hasn't changed, even though AI can do a lot of things for us. So if you're learning how to do something, AI could support you, but you still have to do the work. You still have to put the time in. You still have to practice something until you get better at it. That part hasn't changed. So it's important when you're in learning situations, um, not to rely too heavily on AI for actually doing the work. Some AI tools may be better for modeling how to do a task, and we'll talk about this a little bit later. As we mentioned before, the number of AI tools is exploding. Many of these tools will not survive. They won't be popular enough, or they'll get bought up by other companies. So there will eventually be consolidation, just like there was in social media. A lot of the tools that were around 10 and 15 and 20 years ago are not here anymore. They either went out of business or they got bought up or they turned into something else. So a lot of that will probably happen with AI as well. The other thing that's been mentioned is that a lot of AI tools are not a new AI LLM, large language model. They're using ChatGPT or they're using some other large language module to do the function. So sometimes the user interface might look like a new product, but it's really just, you know, it's the same old tool underneath the hood. So and that's something that might be confusing a lot of times is it looks like a brand new tool, but it's really just another way of presenting access to something like ChatGPT. It's important to also teach young adults that many scammers are using AI to create believable materials, including AI generated copies of family members' voices, etc. So it's become a lot harder to tell if something is legitimate or if it's a scam. And I've been working with some adults who are kind of new to the computer world, and they are having a terrible time figuring out if an email or a text message or a pop-up ad is something that they should reply to, or if it's something that they should, delete. And it's not easy. So I'd say, you know, when in doubt, you should never click links or answer the phone, from someone, or answer a text message from someone that you don't know. AI is making it harder, unfortunately. It's also important to teach young adults that there's a fine line between getting help from AI to do something and copying or plagiarism. You don't want the tool to do the whole work, and then the student takes credit for it, for the individual. Uh, we had cases of attorneys doing this, and they uh, they were prosecuted. That was like a crime, or they got disbarred. It was kind of a big deal. So it's important, if you're going to be doing your work, make sure that you're doing it. You could use AI as a research tool, and I think that's what a lot of people are doing, but they have to double check the sources to make sure that they're not being made up. Okay, so how can AI help? I think one area that I think is really a helpful way of getting help from AI is using AI to model a new skill. So using an AI tool to summarize something, and then you look at that summary to help you get an idea of what a summary can look like. Um, to learn how to create a to-do list by using an AI tool to create a to-do list, and then you could look at that as an example. Scheduling. Scheduling is not an easy task. You could use AI to schedule something and then use that as an example for you learning how to do it. And for suggesting new ideas. So, sometimes people who are want to create something new, they might use an AI tool to generate some different ways of combining things, or different ideas about things. Um, I could see it, help writers, to get out of writer's block, to, look at look at things in a different way, and get some different perspectives. Ways that AI does not help is if it's doing the work for you. I think everyone understands that that's not a good idea, but a lot of young people might not quite understand why that is a problem. So that's important for us to explain that. Provide inaccurate information, and poses the risk of making your personal information vulnerable to hack. So Mike Murata, who is the director of ATAC, did a great presentation earlier this year on artificial intelligence. And he was talking about this continuum of how much AI is enough or how much is too much. And thinking of it as a continuum, I think, is a great way, because you want to balance the getting the benefit of AI without getting too much help from it. Because if you're getting too much help from it, then there is a point where it becomes not your work. It becomes the AI tool's work, and you just generated the prompt, which we'll talk about in a little while. But just generating a prompt doesn't really count, I think, as writing something. It's important and it is a skill, but in and of itself, that doesn't constitute the ability to say, I wrote this 3 paragraph or this 5 page paper because I wrote the prompt. And the prompt are the instructions that you give to the AI tool. Um, the AI tool should address the challenges of that person that are related to his or her disability while not doing the part of the task the person is able to do. So, and this is kind of how assistive technology should be implemented anyway. You uh, Assistive technology is often used to change the way someone does a task. So, for instance, if they have difficulty holding a pencil, maybe typing it would make them better able to independently do the work, or dictating it, or some other means where you're changing the process, but the thinking and the putting the words together and the creating sentences and paragraphs and the organizing the ideas and all of that is still being done by the individual. So as an example, if an individual is learning how to summarize an article, you could use AI to provide a model of what a summary looks like. But then you want to have the individual practice reading and summarizing increasingly longer passages so that they learn that skill. They learn that skill themselves. Summarizing is a really important academic and life skill. You use it in high school, you can use it in college, use it in the workplace, for taking all kinds of notes. So summarizing is an important skill. You don't want I'm sorry, you don't want AI to do it for the individual if they're able to learn that skill. Even if they're only able to learn it on a basic level, it's still worth doing, in my opinion. So, Teaching Exceptional Children magazine had a great article about using AI, and it's called Artificial Intelligence in the Early Childhood Special Education Classroom, question mark. And I know we're talking about young adults with disabilities, but they had a really good table in there, which I'm going to show you now. Um, there we go. Okay, and let's try this. And let's zoom in a little bit. So this is a table. I know it says table prompts for teachers. This is really teaches you what the different prompts will do if you're using something like ChatGPT. So if you say compare and contrast, you're going to do a compare and contrast. If you use the word create, that's creating something new. If you use the word define, you might want it to provide a definition. Draw will draw a picture. Explain something, and this can be fine-tuned um, through an iterative process. If you use the word how, you want to find out how to do something. Limit. So you might want something that's 3 paragraphs long. So you might say limit to 3 paragraphs. List is going to create a list, provide examples of, revise. Now, this is an important thing. So let's say you did an AI request and the results were pretty good, but you wanted to change it, or you want to make it slightly different. So you would say revise, and then you would say what difference you wanted. Maybe it was 5 pages and you wanted to make it 3 pages, or maybe you wanted to change the tone of it. Um, Translate into what, when, where, who was, is, these are all, this is like a really nice table. If you're teaching someone how to do chat GPT prompts, to actually try all of these and experiment with them and see what happens. So last week I saw this article that was published by the MIT Media Lab. They did some research on um, using ChatGPT to write papers, to write essays. And they had three groups. One group used ChatGPT, one group didn't use any technology, and another group just used a regular search engine. And then they had some high school teachers who were the raters. They rated the resulting articles. They didn't know if they were written by ChatGPT or not. So that was, they were not biased in that way. And they found that the essays written by ChatGPT were more homogeneous and lacked the element of creativity and individuality. So basically, they thought they were kind of boring, not very interesting, and kind of just, kind of by the book. And they were actually able to identify which essays were written by ChatGPT by the style. They also monitored the amount of cognitive uh, activity in the test subjects' brains while they were doing this activity. And unsurprisingly, they found that the students who created the essays with ChatGPT completely had a lot less cognitive activity going on. And a lot of people would equate that with a lot less learning. So not only are you might get a paper out of it or an essay, but it's not going to be very good, and you're not going to really learn that much at all. So I think the point is, um, on either account, you're not going to be creating a better essay necessarily, and you're probably not going to be learning all that much by doing it. So just a little bit of tidbit of information there. Um, this is an excellent presentation. Bruce Alter did at the ATIA 2024 conference. That's last year. And it's called Practical Ways AI Can Help Teachers and Struggling Students Right Now. This is an excellent presentation. Here's the link to use the class, to actually listen to the recorded webinar. And if you go back to here and get the ATIA Learning Portal um, code, you can watch that presentation for free. Otherwise, I think it's about $40. But if you're interested in using AI for schools, this is a really great presentation. I really enjoyed it. There's a lot of good info. Um, and he had a lot of good points. Some of them are using an AI tool is typically a dialogue. It's not like a one-step process. You're asking something and then you're going to be revising it, and you might ask additional questions. So it might be 3 or 4 passes before you get something that you're happy with. He does talk about the AI for Education website, which he feels has some promise. Uh, he recommends using AI tools for text leveling. So if you have an article that's written on an 8th grade level, and you've got some individuals that are reading on a 4th grade level or 6th grade level, you could use AI tools to rewrite that article at those other grade levels. So you can use it for differentiation. Uh, he also recommends as a teacher tool for creating worksheets, and you could actually customize it to include the individual's interests. So you could really make it something that you're going to have a better assurance that it's going to engage the student's interest. But Bruce Salter. Another pretty interesting organization out there is called Objective ED for education. Um, they've been creating a lot of AI enhanced tools for reading, supports for students with visual impairments, supports for transition to adult life. And one of the things that's interesting about them, let's take a quick look at their website, is they've been getting grants from the National Science Foundation, National Institute of Health, National Institute on Disability, Independent Living and Rehab Research, um, with Microsoft, and partnering with Bookshare. So they're doing, I think they're doing work with a lot of, uh, I would say, trusted organizations that do all kinds of research for people with disabilities. And so I definitely would suggest you check them out and see what they have to offer. I think I'm kind of new to this organization, but from what I've seen so far, it looks like they have some interesting possibilities. Okay, so I'm going to get off my soapbox now, and we're going to be talking about some individual AI tools. But before I do that, I just want to open up to any questions or comments about what I've said so far, or something that you would like to contribute to the conversation here.
Really quickly, Adam, I think if you go back to your poll and the QR code and explain how to scan the QR code, that might be helpful. I had a question about how to actually access that QR code.
Well, if you're on a computer, I'm going to put the link in the
Great.
chat. That'll be
That's
easier.
great. Yeah.
All right. All right. Sorry about that. If you're on your phone, you turn on your phone's camera app and you place it in front of the QR code, and then you're going to see a link on the screen. If you tap that link, it's going to take you to the poll, and you can work on it on your phone or your tablet. But if you're on your computer, it's probably just as easy to follow the link and then go to page 3. Looks like a few more of you have done it. Thank you.
There's a question in the chat. I don't know if you see it, Adam. It said you said resources free for New Jersey. What about other states?
Okay. So, well, there's a bunch of resources. The first is the Lending Center. This is primarily for people in New Jersey. Every state in the country has a Tech Act project, which is ATAC is New Jersey's Tech Act, which is federal legislation to help people learn more about assistive technology. So if you live in another state in the US, you can send me an email and I'll send you the contact information for your state's Tech Act project. And they'll be able to give you assistive technology resources, based on that are available in your state. Um, the ATIA Learning Portal is kind of a special thing. I don't know if a lot of other tech acts are doing it. Um, you would have to check with the Tech Act in your state to see if they've decided to do that. Um, the AT Summit conference is open to anybody. Anyone who wants to come to Ewing, New Jersey is welcome to register for that course. Um, and my free 30-minute AT consultations are for anyone, anywhere, as long as we can communicate over phone or Zoom or some other means. That's open to anyone in or outside of New Jersey. Any other questions right now? Okay, we will proceed. So the following tools are going to be tools that can support individuals in high school, college, work, and community settings. First, we're going to talk about AI tools that support researching. And one big advantage of using an AI enhanced search engine is that you can ask and revise, you can ask additional questions and revise your search. And this potentially gives you better results. And there's three main search engines out there. We have Google, we've got Microsoft Edge, and we've got Safari for Apple devices. Google has AI mode, which is pretty new. We'll take a quick look at that. Edge has Copilot, which has been around a little while. And Safari is kind of the last one to the party here. And they've added, intelligent search and some other tools to Safari. So Google in the AI mode, it has a slightly different look now. And let's just take a quick look at it. So, so I did a search, and then over here, there's something that says AI mode, and I'm going to click that, and it's going to actually do a search, and it writes a little article for me, actually. Wow. Okay. That's a lot of information. So if there was something specifically that you wanted, you could say, uh, revise this for Bergen County. That's my county. Let's see what happens. And it's more focused on Bergen County. Now, um, I'm trying to see where the resources were. So here's the resources on the right-hand side. Some of these I've heard of before. Weather Spark, I've never heard of it, but I would definitely, if you were doing this and it was something where you had to make sure it was accurate, you would double check to make sure those sources are real sources. In Edge, you have Copilot, which is it's kind of there in the Edge user interface. And so this is Edge. And up here, you'll see I've got Copilot. So if I want to use it, I'm going to turn it on from there. And Safari, I actually had some trouble with this. I opened up the Safari browser on my iPad and I wasn't able to find the intelligent search or the summarized web page. These are nice tools, um, but I have to admit that I wasn't able to find how to use them yet. So I'm still going to work on that. But I am pretty sure it's there. I know they've been working on it, and I believe it's included in the current version of Safari for Mac computers as well as the iDevices. So if any of you have used the AI tools in Safari and want to chime in, now would be a great time to do that. Or you can just send an email to me if you've used them. Now, here's some AI tools to support reading. So, this is Diffit, and Diffit for Teachers is a website that helps you differentiate a lesson for maybe you have you want to create a lesson in three levels, maybe like a emergent skill, intermediate skill, and maybe uh, a, a grade level, or maybe even an extra credit type of version of it. And Diffit will help you do that, primarily through the differentiation of text. Humada AI is a tool that some colleges are using, and it's for summarizing articles. Um, and this is the kind of tool that if you're going to use it in college or in high school, you definitely should check with the teacher or the professor first. Because AI is one of these things, it really varies depending on what school you're at, what class you're taking, what level you're working at. Um, some colleges are saying we have a zero AI use policy across the board. Other colleges are doing something different. Some high schools are dipping their toe in the AI waters, and they may be using one or two AI websites specifically designed for K-12 students on a limited basis. But one thing that is definitely still in play is that, you know, if you didn't write it and you say that you did, it doesn't matter how it happened, whether you're using AI or whether you actually, copied an article and called it your own. It's still not acceptable. So especially with writing, it's important to do the writing yourself. Um, with computer coding, a lot of AI tools are able to do kind of beginner level computer coding. Uh, Different engineering schools are dealing with that reality in different ways. Some are saying, no, we want all of our students to know how to program. Other schools are saying, well, we want to teach students how to write the prompts so that the program that is generated by AI is going to do what you want it to do. So there's different approaches out there, kind of all over the map. Um, but Humata is a tool where you could give it a PDF and say, summarize this PDF, or you could ask questions of it. And the thing that's nice about a tool like Humata is you get to control the inputs. Chat GPT and the other large language models, they hoover up the entire internet, or at least in the beginning. Now they're starting to filter it out and try to weed out the junk information, because there is a lot of junk information on the internet, in case you haven't noticed. Um, so you're going to get answers that's based on factual information and might be partially based on false information, maybe intentionally false information. Whereas with something like Humata, you actually control the input. So you control what information or the source of information for asking those questions. And the same with Adobe Acrobat. I'm going to show you an example of how the web-based version of Acrobat will do something similar. All right, let's see. So here's the full article. Let's see if I can find it. Come on. Here's the full article um, that I got that table from in teaching exceptional children. And I opened this up in Google, and so I'm in the web-based version of Acrobat, and over here you see it says Ask AI Assistant. So I'm just going to click that, and I'm going to ask it to uh, summarize this article. And in about a minute, whoop, even less. So on the right-hand side, this is the summary of the article. It looks like it's about a one page or half a page summary of an article that is 10 pages long. And then I could ask additional questions and it would either revise my summary or it would give me other answers for questions. Like I could say, what age group does this article address? Okay, and it tells me age group 3 to 5 year olds. So, and you can just keep doing that till the cows come home. This is kind of the beauty of the AI tools. You can ask as many questions as you want. You could ask it to revise, and you could go back to those the prompts for ideas of things that you could ask the Adobe AI assistant. All right. Well, how are we doing on time? Let's see. Okay. Um, the next section is supports for writing. And we're going to talk about Goblin tools, Grammarly AI, and Copilot. So Goblin tools is a funny name for a pretty good website. It's got a bunch of different tools in it. We're going to take a look at it. So I'm just going to go to the beginning of Goblin tools because I want to show you all the tools they have. Here we are. So they've got the Magic To Do. This is for creating to-do lists. A formalizer is for rewriting um, emails or other correspondence. Um, the judge is, uh, it, I forgot what the judge is. We'll take a look at that. The professor teaches you something. The consultant will come up with a plan for doing something. The estimator will give you a rough idea of how long something is going to take. Um, the compiler will make lists. The chef is kind of, I think, the most fun tool. You can give it a list of the things that are in your refrigerator or in your pantry, and it will take those items and give you some suggested things you can make, including it'll give you a full recipe. Um, 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 um. Okay, so we're talking about writing. Are we not? Yes, we are. So it says the compiler will compile my brain dump into a list of tasks. So this really lends itself well to this idea of a brainstorm. So you could just type out random ideas on a topic, and then the compiler will try to organize them into some kind of a list. And that's a difficult part when you're writing is you might have a lot of ideas and it's good to have a lot of ideas. But then how are you going to move from having a lot of ideas to starting to create some kind of an outline of what it is you're writing? Let's say you're writing a short story. Something like Compiler could help you with that. So I'm just going to put a couple of things. I'm just going to put in, let's see. Uh, I'm just thinking about summer words. Let's see. Okay, let's see. This probably is not a very good example, but okay. So it turns them into tasks, install an air conditioner, reduce humidity, alleviate sweating. Okay, that was kind of interesting. Um, I haven't actually used it with creative writing, but I think it's worth a try. And if nothing else, it gives you some ideas of how to turn random ideas into something that kind of has a central idea. Now, Grammarly is a tool that many of you are probably familiar with, and they added AI capabilities. Not only does it correct grammar, but it helps to analyze text, provide personalized suggestions for improving grammar, style, and tone. It also uses machine learning to identify patterns in writing errors and then suggest corrections based on those patterns. So if you're going to use Grammarly AI, um, I think it's definitely worth doing, with your teacher and see if it makes sense. I think it's a tool to try. If you're trying to improve your own writing, I think Grammarly AI would be helpful in analyzing your writing and maybe you make a certain mistake on a regular basis, and it could help you identify what those mistakes are. And Microsoft Word 365 has Copilot built in, which helps generating prompts right within the Word environment. Okay, we're kind of coming to the end of our time. Um, I'm just going to mention a couple of note-taking tools because these have been making a pretty big splash, at least some of them especially in the college world and the world of work. And the first is Otter AI. Otter AI is a real-time transcription program that has the ability to keep track of multiple speakers, um, and also enables you to ask questions of the transcription after the fact. It can create to-do lists. It can summarize the transcript. You could find out information if it's in the transcript by asking Otter AI to look for it. And a lot of people in the work world are using Otter AI to create a record of a meeting or an interview, um, or sometimes remote sessions. Just be advised that if you're going to record somebody, um, I always recommend that you make sure that the person you're recording agrees to being recorded. Glean is a tool that's showing up at a lot more colleges lately, and this is a classroom note-taking support that enables the professor to upload their slides, and then it will do real-time transcription and enable the student to type their own notes and comments, which get incorporated into the transcription. And then you can do all kinds of cool things like you can create a quiz, or Glean will create a quiz based on the transcript if you want to test yourself and see if you understood the content of the lecture. It will also summarize, create to-do lists, uh, etc. So Glean and Otter AI are tools that have been around a little while, but I think they're very good, and a lot of people are finding them to be helpful support for note taking. All right, I just want to jump ahead to one more thing before we wrap it up and also open up for questions. And that is the Zoom AI companion for meetings. So I've been noticing this on my Zoom, but frankly, I haven't used it too much yet, but I really want to dig into it to see, how it'll help. But it will, there was a great article. Um, whoops, hold on. A great article from University of, okay, University of, sorry. How come I can't find that sense? Unified Communications, sorry, not university. They had a great article about how to use the Zoom AI companion. It will summarize conversations. If you come into the middle of a meeting and you want to find out what happened so far, it'll summarize what's happened to that point. Um, it'll intelligently record meetings. It can organize sections into chapters. It can highlight next steps, and it can analyze critical meeting conversation factors such as engagement level. Has anyone used the Zoom AI companion? Okay, I'm going to take that as a no. And that pretty much brings us to the end of the presentation. There were a couple slides I had to skip over in the sake of time, but if you have the link to the full slideshow, you can definitely explore those slides. If you have questions, please reach out to me. I'd be happy to discuss them via email or phone. And uh, if you would be able to go back to the Menti poll and complete pages 4, 5, and 6, I will be eternally grateful. And here's my contact information. And we're going to open it up to